before we get to there, we're going to go right back to the start. So, school rugby, good old school rugby in Scotland. You can't beat it.
Yeah.
So, the Wellington School to Strathallan journey.
Yeah.
How was that? Because you're playing, there's for people that don't know, there's a massive difference between private school rugby and public. I say public school. I think public school is what they call it in England for private school, but Muggle school that I went to, we'll call it Muggle school. How is it training in that sort of environment?
It was really weird. I think like at Ayr or Mar first of all, and then at Ayr, we always had a really good team. I remember from Mar like P3s all the way up to sort of primary 7-ish, like barely losing a game with that team. We used to win pretty much every tournament we played in. And then we kind of just like boys go and play football, or they just kind of lose interest when they go to the academy and stuff like that.
Right.
So I kind of forced my hand into going to Ayr, and we had like just as strong a team there as well. But it's a shame because the competition is not the same. I remember at Welly, like you win pretty much.
Wellington School for Welly is Wellington School.
Wellington School, yeah. Sorry. You win most of your games by sort of like 40, 50 points. It's not much of a challenge. But in saying that, to be fair, when I played at Wellington my first couple of years, whenever we played like Hutchison's or Glasgow Academy, we'd be on the receiving end of some 40, 50 pointers. And there was just nothing we could do about it. I think small place. But moving to Strath, I think my last ever game actually for sort of Ayr Wellington, it was at the time, was against Strath.
All right.
And I can't really remember the conversations of like why we chose there, because Dad and I kind of did it together. He had a couple of his family went to Strath, and he didn't want me to go into like America or something, like a big Edinburgh school.
Right.
And it took a bit of adjusting, like getting used to like the boarding school, living in a dorm, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That
must be quite a culture shock, that actually.
Oh yeah, it took me I remember in pre-season, we'd gone back like a week or two before the school term actually started, and I was like thinking, what have I done here? I don't like this at all. Like you say, the culture shock, the chat's different, the Wi-Fi is blocked, so you can't like use Instagram, and I remember just being like, what am I doing here? And just like missing all my mates from back home, and thinking, why am I choosing school over being with my mates and like going to house parties and stuff like that? But like after a couple of months, you're then like, you kind of get used to it. And Murphy was in my boarding house,
all right,
which was was good to have. Obviously, having someone in the rugby team who was in your boarding house, and you get on like a house on fire, then it makes the transition way easier. But I remember my first year of actual rugby at Strath, and just not playing that great rugby. I wasn't used to that level of rugby. You know, we're in a league with that Stu Mel team was mental. Like Ross Thompson, Jack Blay, and Conor Boyle were in that team.
Mm-hmm.
They absolutely hosted this first game of the season. Played Merky. They hosted us as well. I think we only won one league game that season against Dollar. And it's every week it's a hard game.
I love that you named them there as well. It's just like, we only won the one game against this school, so we are better than one school.
Yeah, just to make sure they know. But I think it was just such a different kind of style of like, you're playing a tough team every single week. And I wasn't used to that at all. You kind of go from being like a big fish in a small pond and flip it. You're then like a small fish in a big pond, and you're kind of, I remember the first few games thinking like, what the hell is going on? Like, I'm way out of my depth here. But then that second year, our team was like unstoppable. It felt like we win everything pretty easily. I remember like some awesome games. My favourite game like I've ever been involved in was Cup semi-final against George Watson's at Myersides.
Watson's, yeah.
Yeah. And we beat them. It was the weirdest game I've ever played in my life. First half finished 0-0, but I was like, that's the best half rugby I've ever played in my life. And the atmosphere was mental because the whole school came down to watch it. There was like 7 or 8 buses of pupils at the game in Edinburgh. And then we managed to like beat them 21-3, I think it was in the end, and it was just unbelievable having like all your schoolmates there watching you, knowing you just made a final of schoolboy rugby as well, and it's like that's a more enjoyable rugby, playing with your mates and stuff like that. So yeah, I absolutely love playing at Strath. It definitely has brought me on as a player. I don't know if I probably wouldn't still be playing rugby if I hadn't gone to Strath. I was very close to not going. I think I had a deadline of telling them when I could go or not, and literally on the last day it was like, why not? Might as well.
Yeah.
If I
What
don't like
have I really got to lose? Yeah.
exactly, yeah, and it turned out for the best. So it's
That's no.
very
So
glad.
what was going to stop you playing rugby? Because you said you were going to
Oh,
stop. You might have stopped.
I think just the social side of it. Just I remember you kind of get to that age of like 15, 16, house parties become a thing. I was playing football as well. I was really enjoying football. I just started back playing football. So I mean, I don't really know. Like, I was obviously still a big rugby fan, but it's very easy to get caught up and just think, oh, I'll go to this house party on a Saturday and play the game on a Sunday, and then
It's easy
just
to
kind
be a
of
teenager. Yeah.
exactly take the easy route and just sort of do anything else other than exercise. But yeah, no, I'm very glad I made the decision to leave. You know, so.
Well, as a lot of the conversations seem to follow on this podcast, if it was easy, everybody would do it, and you decided to do the difficult thing. So
yeah, that's what I tell like quite a lot of people. If I ever speak to sort of younger kids who ask about how do you become a professional player and stuff like that, I always say that first of all, find your process that works for you, kind of thing, and second of all, make sure you have the balance and you have the ability to say, right, I'm gonna not go to this house party or do this or do that. I'm gonna focus on my game this weekend. Yeah. And if you just stick in, then it's gonna turn at some point. It's that cliche where you say like stick at it or whatever, but it's true. It'll come good at some point.
I don't know. I just wish I'd listened to that advice and somebody had told me it before. But obviously, there was a lot of other contributing factors as not being very good at rugby that play a part in it. But yeah, I was all here for show, just for scrums, That's all I was there for.
Yeah.
So going on from school, obviously, you became like. How did it feel being the school's champion? Because obviously, you won it with Strath in 2018.
Yeah, that was really cool. Was
that your first appearance at Murrayfield? Must have been.
Nah, under 16s.
Oh yeah, of course. Did you play on the main pitch?
Yeah. We under 16 club. What would have been Club Cup final or something? We played Ayr Wellington against Highland, and we won something like 30 something, 14. I can't remember. So that was my first time ever playing there. Yeah, and then that was Strath was my second time. And there was a bit of arrogance going into that game. We knew that we were going to win, kind of thing, because we'd played Glenalmond earlier on in the season at Strath, and I think we put 80 points on them or something. And I knew some of the boys in that team, and one of their best players, he was injured and basically been forced to play.
Oh dear!
And to be fair, we conceded like a minute in or something. We went 7-0 down or 5-0 down or something, and just thinking like, we're not going to lose this. Like, we're actually like, we can't lose. And luckily we didn't. But yeah, that was just a really cool way to end, obviously, schoolboy rugby, because I didn't play another game for Strath after that, because the 7th season coincides with the under-18s age grade stuff. So yeah, to say that that's your last game is winning Scottish Cup, it's pretty cool.
That must be actually quite surreal feeling, actually, to go out on a high. But then I love the thought of you just, it's like you can see them in the first minute. And you see, if I was in the team that scored against you, and you all went back to the post, and you started chuckling at the thought you just conceded, I feel like these guys are psychopaths.
Yeah, it's weird. It's quite weird. Like so Ed Calman was our head coach at school, ex-Glasgow player, Scotland player, stuff like that. Great head coach, and he's like really into NFL. So all of our we had a playbook of all our moves, stuff like that. And I remember the week before the game, we're just doing some training, like some walkthrough, and he was like wanting to do some scenarios, and he told Murphy. So Murphy was our captain, and he got Murphy to. We were doing like our plays and stuff like that, and then he was like, Murphy brought us all in, And the scenario was, you've just conceded, you've gone 7-0 down in the first 5 minutes of the game. What do you do now? And Murphy had to like give us this pep talk, and we were obviously taking the piss out of him.
As every teenager does when a captain has to give a team talk.
Yeah, you have to do something serious
Yeah.
in a weird environment. We were taking the piss out of him, and then it actually happened. So I think we all went in that huddle thinking, we literally did this last week. But then we were like, it's just sound. We'll be absolutely fine. And then ended up kind of running away with it at the end. So
your coach is just a tactical guru. He just knew exactly how the game was going to go.
Yeah, mystical, weird.